We're definitely getting closer.
I think I see a way out.
Hello everybody, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name is Ash and I'm joined by a very excited Dave.
Hello!
There it is, it's the excitement!
It's real!
And that is because we have just rushed back to our hotel after playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor!
Oh, yes, at last. I'm so excited. I've been excited for this game for a very long time. I was a massive fan of Jedi Fallen Order, and it's blown me away. It absolutely blown me away. I feel like it's the ultimate Jedi power trip. It's so good. I think just to kind of like sum it up, I was thinking that in the first game, you know, you're Cal Kestis. He's a Padawan. He's like learning about the Jedi, becoming a Jedi, kind of knighted in the field. I feel like this game, obviously, you're starting out as Cal Kestis, Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
And this is all about, he feels way powerful already, and it's all about gaining more power. All the things I want to do as a Jedi, just all the powers I want to wield, all the skill, all the combat prowess, it's all there. I can't wait to tell you about it. No story spoilers, but what we will say is that we played 3 hours of the game. We started about an hour in, I think, or certainly after the opening mission. And we joined Cal and BD1 as they landed on the planet Kobo, which is a new planet for this game, in search of Grease. Yeah. That's all we'll say about the story.
It's really good.
Yes.
But yes, we'll move on from that because I want you to tell me about the open world of this game as well, because we had a little run around Kobo for a little bit and I was having a great time.
Yeah, sure. I think the world is one of the things people are really interested in, or and by world I mean the setup of the game, how much you're able to explore. I think in Jedi Fallen Order, you know, there were a lot of it felt quite pathed. Everything felt slightly constrained. From what I can tell from what we've played today, it feels much more open. There are big, wide areas. I think, you know, one of the first things we saw in our gameplay demo was this massive vista in front of us expanding, and one of the first things you do is use BD1's new skill or like ability, which is you can kind of use him like binoculars.
Yeah, I liked that.
To look around, obviously, your surroundings, but you can place beacons in the world using BD1. It feels much more like a kind of traditional open world game where you're going to see things and head towards them. I was very deliberately kind of like sticking with the golden path. Yeah. I was just trying to get through as much of the story as possible, which is ironic because I'm not going to talk about it. But there were so many times I had to ignore obvious little, like, what's this over here? What's that over there? Who's that person?
Alternatively, I was doing all the side mission stuff, so I was like, what's this? What's this? Oh, can I fight this? We're going to chop this up with my lightsaber.
Yeah.
And you can do everything. I was so satisfied by just cutting up plants with it. I just kept going into bushes and swinging it around.
It's not an open world game. Yeah. It's not like, you know, anywhere you can see you can go or anything like that, but it is massively more open with loads and loads of paths.
I also really like how they've kind of kept the Metroidvania style as well, so there's lots of things you see that you can't get past, but then you'll come back to when you get powers to do. So on lots of my recon missions into the side content, there would be something really interesting which I'd make a mental note of and be like, right, I'm going to come back when I know what I'm going to do with that. Oh, there's a big ledge here that I can't quite do anything with just yet. I'm going to come back and do that. I love that.
You can actually not just make a mental note. When I said you can place a beacon, you can choose the colour of the beacon. Has a little symbol, so you can actually make your own kind of key, you know, for things that you want to come back and explore later, which I just love in games. It just makes me feel like I'm actually doing it rather than playing a game.
And with this new world comes some new traversal, which you should also tell us about as well.
Yeah, so there's loads of ways to get around the world now, and because it is bigger, I think, you know, you need these kind of traversal options. First of all, something that's kind of more for puzzle solving and like verticality is your grapple.
Oh, we love a grapple.
I mean, it just increases the greatness of a game like tenfold. Every grapple, everybody knows that. So that's just a quite a simple thing. You see these quite obvious points on the map that you can attach your grapple to when you're close enough. Then on top of that, there's several kind of like varieties of animal that you can use, or I say several, we saw 2 in our demo, and I must say, like, just the flora and fauna in the game is fantastic.
Yeah, you can pet the bogling. You can
pet at least 3 boglings.
At least, like, maybe more.
Maybe
Definitely
more. I'd like to think more, and I will be doing that at every available moment. But first of all, there's the Neko, which is kind of like a large bird that you can ride.
It's like a bird llama.
I haven't played these games, but I'd say it's a bit like a chocobo.
From seeing Rob do that chocobo race, I would agree.
And they obviously, when you first kind of meet one, you tame it, and which is a new ability for Cal, and he has this kind of new ability which we'll get into, and you can use that to get around the world faster. You can jump whilst you're on it. You can do something called a super jump, which is where you jump off of it as well to get like a height kind of bonus, and then on top of that, we experienced relters, which are winged creatures that you can kind of glide with. So you can't fly higher with them, but you can glide through the world on them.
Just clinging to their feet and going round.
It's like a really beautiful way to get around. That's like quite for specific purposes, I suppose, as in you're not just going to fly off anywhere with it. You're going to use it to get to your next location. But doing that is just really, really great. It's a great way to get an overview of the world, and I just loved doing it. Being a Jedi, one of the things about the Jedi is obviously it's using the Force, which is like a thing that runs through everything in the in the galaxy. It's like a force of nature, and I think having empathy and love for living creatures is like part of being a Jedi. So I think using these creatures to get around really makes sense. And obviously the world is much bigger. You're going to need, I think, help to get around. One other way you can get around more quickly is using meditation points. Now you can fast travel to other meditation points. So it's not, fast travel to anywhere at any time. Which I like because I think it just feels a bit more deliberate. But honestly, I didn't feel the need to use it at all when I was playing, because you've got these other options, and I was just really, really enjoying exploring. But I can imagine in the late game, especially when the world is so much bigger, using meditation points to fast travel around will be really handy.
And you want to keep returning to a particular point, which is the outpost.
Yeah, so the outpost is a place on Kobo, this planet that we saw in our demo, which is kind of like a hub area, I suppose, that you'll be returning to again and again. That is going to change, going to evolve over time. And there are just, NPC characters out in the world that you will find, not just on Kobo, but on in other places as well. You will find them, and you can kind of recruit them back to the outpost. It's like a little sort of township in the middle of Kobo, and it's got a cantina, it's got some shops, and when you're recruiting people here, you're kind of improving its facilities. You're opening new shops, which are going to give Cal options for cosmetics and for abilities, perks and stuff like that. Some of it is purely cosmetic within the town itself, so you can like unlock music for in the cantina and stuff like that.
That's important, though.
It is important.
That's important.
There's also like within the cantina, there's like an aquarium where you can collect fish, a little bit like the seeds in the first game, so you can grow your garden. And there is a rooftop garden.
Yeah, and there is still seeds as well.
There are, and I think this rooftop garden. Did you check out the garden?
I didn't go to the garden.
It's going to be in the first game. You would collect seeds, and they would just automatically be kind of like planted in the mantis, and you were just growing this little collection. I didn't actually experience it, but judging by the menu that I saw, when you go to the rooftop garden and you collect these seeds, you can kind of choose where to plant them.
Oh my
and
God.
you can add like areas to your garden and
Farming
expand
sim
it.
Survivor.
There's a little Star Wars farming sim in there.
Just to do a really nice segue here, which is not set up at all. Combat, hey.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Well, it's the meat of the game, isn't it? So moving from lovely little planted seeds into the brutality of lightsabers.
Yeah, funnily enough, I would say it's much more like the finesse of lightsabers, because, again, Cal just feels like such a kind of experienced Jedi
He's
now.
Fluid. He's smooth.
Yeah, and bearing in mind this is very early in the game, Cal's abilities are just out of the box, like fantastic. He's just very, very solid. The combat feels amazing. I think it did in Fallen Order, and they have just built upon it. They've got that amazing base of gameplay from Jedi Fallen Order, and they've just built and improved upon it and expanded it out in loads and loads of ways. So you start the game now with 3 stances, or at least we started our demo with 3 stances, which are single-handed lightsaber, dual-wielding lightsabers and the double-ended lightsaber. That's the three.
I was trying to do an example with the microphone, and realised I only have one.
And on top of that, there are two more stances, which we didn't get to play, but we did see a little demo of, which I'll come on to in a minute, which were the crossguard lightsaber stance, which is a bit like Kylo Ren's lightsaber, I guess.
It looks like a big sword.
It does. And then the other one is with the blaster. I'm really interested in how Cal gets the blaster, and just to use it, because what's that going to be like? So you can dual wield basically a blaster and a lightsaber, which is very, very cool. But the combat's just amazing. I think it's so fluid, changing stances on the fly, using your force powers, parrying. It looks so good. The way that the camera sort of swings about when you're doing, special moves, and kind of those finishers look so good.
Yes.
I've removed some limbs from some stormtroopers that made me feel very happy indeed.
So many arms come off. So many arms come off, and when you get them on top of them and just put the lightsaber through, oh man, it's really something.
It's really like that power trip that I was talking about. You just feel so powerful, and not that you didn't in Fallen Order, but it just feels like they've really built on that so much. At the end of the demo, we got another special demo.
The secret demo.
From the kind of combat designer, I think it was, or combat director, which was a kind of wave mode. It's not in the game. It was a little debug mode they showed us, especially just to show off like end game combat with someone who really knows what they're doing. It was insane.
It was so good.
It was amazing. We saw every stance. We saw him changing between all those stances. We saw so many force powers.
Yes.
It was just like I don't even think we saw like a repeated animation in like sort of 3 or 5 minutes. It was just insane. Cal was just handling. There must have been like 8, 10, 12 stormtroopers at any one time.
Yeah. Constantly, like every time one was wiped out, another one would appear, so he was always dealing with multiple enemies.
And it was just so fluid. It was so powerful. There were so many different kind of skills on display. One of my favorite things was we did get to see the blaster stance, and there was like a dead eye kind of special move.
It was so
where
good.
he chucked the whole group up into the air and then launched into this Deadeye thing and just selected a bunch of targets and shot them all. It was
the whole
so
room cheered.
good.
We all went, wow!
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It's honestly, as I said, that ultimate power trip, that ultimate Jedi power trip, like finally seeing the Force kind of like unleashed, flowing through Cal. It was honestly insane, and we didn't get to experience that end game stuff ourselves, obviously, but seeing it in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing.
Oh, it just makes you want to do it, doesn't
it?
I'm like, we'll get us to the end. Let's play it all right now.
And I think that really says that's like the best thing we can say about the combat is it's very easy to pick up, especially if you've played the first game. You will feel really powerful right away, but it showed us like you could get so good at it. There's so much possibilities. Each of these stances, has a whole range of moves of its own, and you can link them together. It's really cool. And you can't have all the stances unlocked at any one time, or equipped at any one time. When you go to meditation points, certainly in our demo anyway, you could have 2 equipped. They're on the D-pad, either left and right. So it suggests to me that they want you to really specialize in a particular kind of combat, and the combat is really different depending on which stance you use.
Which stance are you?
I got to be honest.
He's pushing his glasses.
It's quite boring. I'm very into the single hand.
Single-handed.
It feels, it's the Star Wars I know and love.
Classic.
It's a classic, and it is balanced. It's the non-committal, Star Wars fan or gamer, which is me. The other stance I have equipped is like the double-ended lightsaber, which is so cool. It's really, really cool, and it's so good for dealing with groups of enemies. That's the way I think of it. It's like I have the single lightsaber for like single or like pairs of enemies, and then if I get into a group situation, get out the double ender and take care of them. That's how you do it. But yeah, it's fantastic. There's also perks now. So perks are different to skills. They're more, think of them like stats increases. And you find those in the world. You can buy them from shops once you've unlocked shops and you've got the prerequisite collectibles. And they, in the demo we played, you had like 3 perk slots and you could equip 3 perks, or a perk doesn't necessarily fill 1 slot. It can fill more if it's powerful. So you might only have 1 perk that fills 3 slots. I did see in a menu that you can upgrade your perk slots later in the game, but we didn't get to see that. But it's another way of really kind of like focusing in on how you're going to play. I think that they've gone quite big on this time. I think that choosing what your Cal Kestis is like, and how he fights, how he uses the Force, all that kind of stuff, I think that's going to be much more prevalent in Jedi Survivor than maybe it was in Jedi Fallen Order, which is great. And it's true of just the kind of appearance options as well. We should maybe say very quickly, obviously Cal's got a beard now, unless he doesn't, because you can unlock loads of different...
Why would you though?
Well, I agree. You can make it thicker.
Yeah, that's all you're allowed to do.
You can make it a moustache.
From ass,
I think. There's loads of customization options that weren't in Jedi Fallen Order. I think that it feels like you're going to have your Cal Kestis.
Oh, I made my lightsaber pink.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I went in, I was like, let's get this pink and purple on, and Cal was wielding it. I was like, that's my boy. So it was looking good.
And BD1 as well.
Yeah.
You can change all little bits of BD1 and make him your BD1, as well as obviously the colours and how worn he is and that kind of thing. But yes, the last thing I wanted to talk about, as you said, is enemies. Yeah. Just that there are loads.
There's lots of
there's
them.
lots. I mean, this is really just a way for me to shoehorn in that it's in the B-roll, so I don't feel bad about talking about it. There's a Rancor. You're going to fight a Rancor.
I didn't get to the Rancor. Like, I didn't fight the Rancor, and like I saw it in the little B-roll that we watched, and like I want to shed a tear of how excited I am about it. Like, the Rancor is my defining piece of Star Wars love, and like seeing one that you can fight, I'm just really gassed.
We were just talking about the Rancor in Return of the Jedi yesterday, and then to see it today in the game, it's just brilliant. I think people are going to be, and I was really excited to see battle droids. They're really funny. Like, they've
so
nailed
silly.
that silly humor of the battle droids. They're like fodder. They're just really fun because you're so powerful. It's just really fun to fight because it's like one-hit kills. Groups of them are a bit more serious, but you know, it feels great fighting them. And I'm really interested in their story because obviously the Republic is no more. So it's interesting to see what they're doing in the game and what they're doing on Kobo. Yeah. There are new kinds of stormtroopers with new skills. It's just lots and lots of great new enemies. Loads of new flora and fauna.
Loads of like alien freaks, like, for sure, as well as all the normal baddies like the stormtroopers and the droids. Yeah,
it's like, I think they've taken that tradition of Star Wars, which is, you know, Star Wars is full of these weird species that make no sense. You have no information about whatsoever. They've taken that love of like creating these. It's a massively full galaxy, and they've taken that kind of lore and that essence, and they've just run with it and made these fantastic enemies. And obviously, combat is such a big part of this game. You need a whole kind of plethora of enemies to have different ways of challenging you, and that's like really, really fun. Is learning these different move sets, learning, you know, how to deal with these different creatures, learning the tells of when they're going to attack or when they're going to appear from nowhere, out of the ground, out of the sky, whatever. It's just really, really great. I honestly, just wrapping this up, I cannot wait to play this game. I'm so gutted. Yeah. You know, that we had to stop playing when we did.
Yeah.
We haven't talked at all about the story. We're not going to, but all I want to say is that I am so invested. I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't wait to see where we go next.
I can't wait to find the Rancor.
Oh, I know. Like, there's so much in this game. It feels like it's going to be an epic adventure. And I'm just all for it.
The Jedi power trip, that's the one, man.
Really
I think that does encapsulate just how great you feel playing this. But we are going to actually wrap things up there. That has been our preview of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which, Dave, we can catch on
April the 28th.
Yeah, on
PlayStation 5.
Yeah, there we go. That was actually just a mini quiz at the end to see if you kept your...
Thank God! Always like to keep me on my toes, don't you?
The credentials are in. It's been confirmed. Right, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again very soon with more Star Wars Jedi Survivor goodness. Bye!
プレイステーション